Good morning, all. Lewis Miguel Alexa from BRIK Projects. Just playing some music there from one of our favourite musicians, SOS. He's actually got some new music on his playlist on Spotify and also iTunes. So check it out. That was actually a new label that he's got, the Lobster Machine. So Jamming in GM is the name of the song. So check it out. It was quite relaxing. Today is obviously morning here in Australia, so it's always nice to start with some nice cool music from SOS. But yeah, look, we just wait a couple of minutes. The Humble Miner and Matt, thank you for joining us live. I really appreciate your support. We'll just wait a few minutes and until we start sort of the formalities without being too formal. Obviously, just probably just a general sort of observation over the last week. We've had some time off last week. Time off, you can call it that. Still obviously always thinking about obviously our BRIK projects, our properties, and obviously engaging with the community. So the little mind never stops working. And obviously, last week we took a bit of time out. Mrs. BRIK, Melinda, and also our adult kids went up to Hamilton Island, which is in the Great Barrier Reef region. If some of you do know, heard of the Great Barrier Reef, it's heritage listed coral, quite a large coral region of here in Australia, in our state of Queensland. So we sort of took some time out to, again, probably sort of taking a break where we all could to celebrate my 50th and Mrs. BRIK's 50th birthday, although it's later on in the month. Mine's on the 30th, Melinda's in December, so we sort of took a window of opportunity before things get crazy again, obviously with the launch of our BRIK Dolphin property. So before we sort of got deep into that again, into another property, we thought to take a little bit of time out. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed. We try to sort of share some of our experiences up there, and I probably should be sending an invoice to the Queensland Government Tourism for showcasing Queensland, obviously helping out in our way with tourism here in our state of Queensland. So I hope he's enjoyed some of the footage that we shared of Hamilton Island and Whitehaven Beach, which is quite a famous beach. Is actually listed in the top 10 beaches in the world, called Whitehaven Beach, which is so an hour's boat ride from the Hamilton Island where we were staying. So beautiful part of the world. So we shared some of the footage on our socials, in particular Twitter. So it's all there. If you're ever thinking about coming to Australia, definitely this is the part of the world you've got to come to and visit and share some of those experiences with your families. And so check it out, some of the posts. Hope you enjoy that. Try to keep it a bit lighthearted, as well as most of you know. But look, it's just wait a couple more minutes there. Like I said, always sort of allow people to sort of come in from other sessions and in terms of their part of the day as well. And before we sort of start into some of the things I want to cover today, it is a BRIK Q&A weekly show. It's all about in terms of what we're doing here at BRIK, keeping people up to date, allow people to ask questions, more importantly. So and again, look, it's as I said, we like to keep things a bit lighthearted around here. So but yeah, look, yeah. So it was an interesting past week. We also, which I'll talk a bit later on, we also attended the first Australian crypto convention here in Australia. So we were quite honoured to be part of. Obviously, we didn't have a formal role in it, but we certainly attended and engaged with the blockchain community here in Australia, and we had quite a lot of visitors. We had Michael Saylor coming in the live feed into to open up the event. It was a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday on the Gold Coast, and ironically, it's actually down the road from the BRIK Dolphin property. So literally, probably around 4 kilometres south of 4 kilometres north of the BRIK Dolphin property, where the convention is. So so we had a good time in terms of engaging and as I'll sort of go into a bit later on in terms of our observation of some of the things that were happening around the convention, so to give people an update around the world in terms of what is happening here in Australia from a blockchain perspective. So I'll sort of touch on that later on. But yeah, so it was very informative, very engaging. weekend, part of the convention. I think it even surprised Mrs. BRIK in terms of how far we've come here in Australia as far as the blockchain is concerned, in terms of the projects being built on the blockchain. So again, it was quite a positive weekend. Again, always learning, always seeing what's happening in our blockchain industry. So yeah, that was a really enjoyable weekend. But yeah, look, it's we'll make a start. I'm just conscious in terms of time that to try to keep this to under an hour. And really appreciate people who do join. Thank you, Brave. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, LSJ, who just come in. Thank you so much for coming in live and engaging live. And as I said, we will open up the mic. If you do want the mic, please ask for it because this is very much what it is. The name BRIK Q&A. So I'll just cover some of the key points for today in terms of, and then but yeah, look, if you want the mic, please request and we'll add you in. Yeah, look, probably a bit of an intro. As I said before, I'm Luis Miguel Lexo. I'm the Manager Director and Co-Founder of BRIK BC Projects. We take and eyes Australian real estate properties, the luxury kind, here in Australia. Mrs. BRIK, Melinda, is my co-founder. So we basically launched our first property early this year, the BRIK Koala, and we're about to launch our second one, the BRIK Dolphin. So two separate locations, the Koala in Brisbane and the Dolphin on the Gold Coast. So they're both going concurrently. Well, they will be going concurrent once we launch the Dolphin property. But yeah, look, in terms of sort of a bit about my background, just sort of briefly. So I've come from an accounting background. I'm actually a qualified CPA accountant here in Australia. Have dealt with businesses, particularly in the building construction and property development space. So that's sort of been my sort of 28 years as a qualified CPA. I've also probably longer than being a CPA. I've also been involved in property. So Mrs. BRIK and I, we've been doing our stuff in the property space for around 30 years since we've been together. So yes, I'm showing my age. Yes, I'm 50, so and proud of it. So it's all good. But yeah, so we've been obviously doing property developers, whether it be new builds, whether it be renovations. So that's been our sort of one of our side passions over the years. That as a family we've been heavily involved in the property side of things and building construction of properties. So we're not builders, but we engage the builders in terms of doing our stuff over the years. So yeah, so that's sort of a bit of background without boring you in terms of me. But in terms of the tokenization of real estate, it's very new. I think it's sort of highlighted again on the weekend at the crypto convention, just how early we are. I know we all keep sort of using that sort of line, how early we are, but it just highlighted. You got people in crypto who know blockchain very well, and still very much some blank faces when I sort of told them about tokenized real estate on the blockchain. So again, it's a continuing education, and hence why we do this today, and the two spaces we do. So yeah, so probably just a little sort of just basic fundamentals for people who are listening to this for the first time in terms of wanting to know what is tokenized real estate. I always just use a simple example. So basically, in a traditional real estate, you might have thought about getting together and co-owning a property. So for you and for other people, say 5 people, basically buying a property called $500,000. You all contribute $100,000 towards it. You go on a journey together and you reap the rewards and benefits from owning that property on that journey as 5 people. In terms of tokenized real estate on the blockchain, is very much the same. Rather than being 5 people, you can have 40,000 people. Like the BRIK Koala property, it's got 40,000 tokens. So basically we breaking that up, fractionalizing that property into 40,000 tokens, and then basically have 40,000 people on journey together, and actually reaping the rewards and benefits of actually having that property. So basically, you're on a journey together. But the thing is, it's on the blockchain. It's recorded on the blockchain. So basically, the transparency is there, and the ease of people to buy and sell those tokens on the secondary market becomes obviously a huge benefit in terms of liquidity. So you don't have to sell a property. You don't have to buy one property. You can now actually just sell a fraction of that property. So if you own 100 tokens and you go on your journey and of that property and you want to sell 50 of those 100 tokens, you go in the secondary market and you sell pretty much a press of a button, you sell those 50 tokens on a secondary market. So again, think of like in the stock market in terms of you own shares in a company. Same thing in terms of you actually own a token in a fractionalized property. So they're just sort of the basic fundamentals what is tokenized real estate. But yeah, look, it's in terms of today, just bring you a bit of an update in terms of the BRIK Dolphin property. So our BRIK Dolphin property, which we're launching, it's our first one on the Ravencoin blockchain. The BRIK Koala property was launched on the Ethereum blockchain, and we flipped in terms of and you have to pivot in the industry because there's always things happening and obviously always improvements, and I guess Ravencoin was an improvement as a blockchain, what we wanted to achieve in our long-term journey. So so the BRIK Dolphin property on the Gold Coast will be our first one on the Ravencoin blockchain. We've had to actually push that forward. There's a few things still to be done. Because it is actually our first property on the blockchain, on the Ravencoin blockchain, we want to make sure everything's all in order as far as that's concerned. Probably just to give perspective, they actually there's two of us are about to mint on Sarah and Dan. They actually have minted their series, their property series. They're property in the US, so that they are the first ones. They're about to launch soon. We'll be the second ones behind them in terms of to launch on the Ravencoin blockchain. So again, as far as real estate being minted on the Ravencoin blockchain, officially Dan and Sarah are the first ones, and we'll be following them as the second ones. So again, this just shows you in terms of what is coming for the Ravencoin blockchain as far as tokenized real estate, not just in terms of Dan and us, in terms of our properties that we got planned to tokenize on the Ravencoin blockchain, but also some of my colleagues who have been asking us in terms of where they should be tokenizing their real estate. And I'm not going to assure you there's quite a wave coming. Again, if they follow my recommendation, we'll certainly see a wave of real estate being tokenized on the blockchain, on the Ravencoin blockchain. So again, great times ahead. But in terms of the BRIK Dolphin, so we were supposed to launch at the end of this month, so we actually pushed that to the 24th of October, Australian time. So we'll be launching then. We just want to make sure we'd rather sort of take a little bit longer to making sure the boxes are ticked, and I guess probably my anal in terms of as an accountant, making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and all the boxes are all in order and ticked off, making sure that there's no issues. So again, that's so it's 24th of October. We moved that. We actually put that. They've actually pinned that on the on today's space above here. So we're really excited. We're jumping out of our skin in terms of our second property, but at the same time we also have to be sensible and making sure that all the boxes are ticked as far as the launching the property is concerned. And again, this is all very new for the Ravencoin blockchain as far as tokenized real estate. So we want to make sure, as the second ones in obviously Dan, Sarah, and us as pioneers on the Ravencoin blockchain as far as real estate concerned, is making sure that everything works well and people have got the confidence in terms of what's happening on the Ravencoin blockchain as far as tokenized real estate is concerned. So again, it's like I said, we're very excited about it. Again, the BRIK Koala property, the Brisbane property, that's currently being sold. So you can go on our platform and you can purchase your BRIK Koala tokens. That continues on. So obviously we want to actually sell all tokens, so we can actually then settle on the property there. So again, go through our website. You'll see links to our platform to register on and subscribe to our BRIK tokens platform. I know some of our listeners that are on here that they actually are token holders in the BRIK Koala. So again, it's go on there, have a look, do your research. If you like it, then you have the ability to also come on the journey with us all on the BRIK Koala. So, but the BRIK Dolphins next month. We'll keep you updated as we go along. But yeah, look at in terms of sort of reflection. Over the last week, probably just sort of touch on some of the things that have been happening, which is obviously relevant to what we do, because I like to say the blockchain is an industry in itself, with obviously subsectors within the industry in terms of obviously with tokenized real estate and so forth. But yeah, look, it was actually quite it was quite interesting because. I was a bit cheeky in putting some of the Ravencoin logos in our photo images at the convention on the weekend, and again, there was around 5,000 people, just over 5,000 people that attended the convention. So as I said before, it was our first crypto convention here in Australia, and I was actually quite amazed how the turnout in terms of, and that's been 5,000 people, just over 5,000 people. What I found interesting that I was trying to find because I had an app and basically search the app in terms of all the comments and so forth, and if there was anything Ravencoin activity, any Ravens there, and I guess I was probably the only Raven that attended the convention. I did try to be a bit cheeky and put some of the logos at the entry of the convention, but obviously we didn't. There was nobody there. But again, it's a thing that with the Ravencoin and because Michael Saylor spoke right at the start of the beginning, and obviously he's very Bitcoin maxi. If I think you could use that. He's a maxi when it comes to Bitcoin, which is great for him. But it was actually really interesting to hear his journey in terms of Bitcoin, and obviously only 3 years ago, I think it was, even less than that, 2 years ago. He was very skeptical of Bitcoin, of blockchain altogether, and it was only because of where things were at in terms of massive inflation coming to their company, MicroStrategy, that they actually pivot and take a risk, and Bitcoin was what they took a risk on. So it was used as a defensive mechanism for their company in terms of where things were going as far as they were concerned as a software company. So again, it was just interesting to hear their journey, and obviously now is obviously I think he is one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin. So again, we're just sort of hearing and sort of sharing some of the people in the audience sort of got talking with in terms of mentioning Ravencoin to them, and again, just sort of blank faces, and but at the end of the day, it's about making people aware, and obviously sort of explain to the fundamentals of being a fork and so forth of Bitcoin. But that's sort of, again, it's all about awareness. If you don't know what you don't know, you keep knowing the same thing, and until you make people aware what's actually happening out there, and you get people to sort of research and look into it, then so hopefully I sort of done my little bit to open people's eyes in terms of what's happening in from a Ravencoin perspective, but also from our perspective as BRIK BC projects. Even though you got quite a lot of experienced people that were there, been in crypto for a long time, and a couple of them I got to talking to, it's I still had that blank look when you start talking about tokenized real estate. And again, it's you think they were just very easy conversations with all people involved with crypto, but again, just highlighted, just have to sort of explain things in very simple language in terms of how tokenized real estate works, and obviously I've been on the blockchain. They got in terms of the REITs that are out there in terms of off-chain platforms that are fractionalizing real estate, but I think there's still a little knowledge around fractionalizing of real estate on the blockchain. So so it was a really interesting convention. I think the organisers will learn, and they'll fall for the next year's one. So some of the things that sort of didn't go all that well for them. But in all, I think they've got to be very proud in terms of the outcome of the convention, and again about keep people, bringing mainstream in, making people aware of the new frontier of what blockchains can do for people in general in society. So again, it was a really interesting convention. I'll be going next year again. Next year's one's in Melbourne in November next year, and I actually cheekily put it out to the organisers that. And cheekily put it out to Tron that maybe next year we can go on stage together, and Tron can talk about Ravencoin and I can talk about tokenized real estate. And I think Tron's up for it. I think he gave me the thumbs up. I think he did say in a tweet he's in. So he'll give you an excuse. I'll give Tron Black an excuse to come down under and obviously enjoy our beautiful country. So hopefully, hopefully they'll come in. Obviously, we put it out there to the organisers. We're here, so and again, it's be good to educate the Australian public in terms of Ravencoin blockchain, as well as us from a tokenized real estate from a BRIK PC specifically. So hopefully, again, it's we put it out there. We're, as I said, to the organizer of the Australian Crypto Convention, organizer. I said we're able and willing, so the ball's in their court now. So so it was a really good convention, and again, it's about if we're all playing our part in making people aware of what's happening in the different spaces of blockchain. I think that's it's all in reaches in terms of what we're trying to achieve in bringing more mainstream people into blockchain. Just got a couple of points here, but please, if it's look, I'll open up the floor. I'll just sort of keep covering and just mention about what happened in the convention. A couple of the points I made here, but please, if you like a mic, Indy's in. Indy? How are you? Hope you're well. Please join in if you want. I'll give you the mic so you can ask any questions you've got. But yeah, look, in terms of probably on the NFT side of things, as far as the convention was concerned, it was it had a couple of exchanges there that obviously have dabbled into the NFT space. I know CoinSpot, one of our major crypto exchanges here in Australia, they actually had a booth with some of the NFTs that they have, and we use CoinSpot ourselves as an exchange where we buy some of our cryptos. And again, it was that's interesting how they've sort of gone into NFTs. Obviously, they're trying to give more awareness and more engagement with their members. But yeah, so we went in there and had a chat with them and just sort of tried to see what their objective was around the NFTs. And again, they're all Ethereum based on the Ethereum blockchain. And I just sort of having a chat. He's sort of thinking, ETH is, the gas fees for ETH is still an issue, so I'm not too sure how that's going to go for you. So. But again, it's good on. I mean, it's the more exposure, that's great for them. But what I actually found at the convention was that there were so many crypto exchanges. Some have obviously got their own points of differences. But and I was sort of reflecting as to, is there really the volume of people to justify so many exchanges? And you sort of wonder, they're making money, some of the smaller ones that are obviously starting out. But yeah, there was massive, like there's some there that didn't even know who they were, these smaller crypto exchanges. So again, obviously there's a wave, and obviously people investing their money, they're probably not looking so much in terms of their return right now, but obviously what the return is going to be in future, given obviously the wave continue to grow and the people obviously getting into crypto. But again, you've got to take your hat off to them. But I think it's, I guess, the point is, was it too many exchanges? And I think from an Australian perspective, I think there at the convention there was it was overwhelming in terms of how many booths were crypto exchanges. So again. It's and they all got they all got their own points of differences in terms of who they are, but probably too many at the convention. That's probably only my sort of criticism at the convention. There was probably too many crypto exchanges so basically sort of looked around the booths in terms of who was there. It's all for me. I'm always obviously always learning. We always learning, taking ideas, and how can some ideas might actually work in terms of what we're doing. It's a matter of always trying to improve who you are, in terms of improve who we are as BRIK BC projects. So again, always learning, and if I can take some ideas that I pick up or sort of vary it to suit us in terms of keep improving us, that's all great. And I don't think, I'm always a big believer that in terms of business, you can't stop improving. You got to keep improving what you have. Because that's how obviously things are developing, and your model keeps getting better, or whether your business keeps getting better. So a big believer in that, and always have been. But yeah, so from an NFTs perspective, there's quite a few there. I went up to FTX booth and congratulated them by listing Ravencoin 2 weeks ago on their exchange. So I actually had I told them in terms of how grateful and exciting it was for the Ravencoin community to finally see Ravencoin on their exchange. Obviously FTX being one of the majors around the world, and so it was good to see them list, and went actually up to and thanked them for that. But yeah, so it's So it was really interesting, and I hope that sort of they take our offer up next year, in terms of the Australian Crypto Convention #2 next year in Melbourne. I hope they take up our offer, and in terms of Tron, Black and I to speak next year at the convention, and again it's about just trying to keep people aware what's happening, and I think we've got a lot to contribute. But anyway, the ball's in their court. What else I got here? It was quite interesting. Some of the projects that spoke. Sometimes people probably should that they forget that you got to keep still things in very simple language. Some of the projects that spoke there at the convention. They sort of tell you everything about it and all the bells and whistles and the various aspects of that particular project, and I think you can just sort of see some of the people's look at their faces. They sort of go blank because they're just trying to tell everything about it and all the bells and whistles of a particular project, and they can stake, they can they can they can do this, they can do that, they can do, but some of the things probably too much. And I think that if I can make any suggestion, some of those projects that presented on the weekend, you just got to keep it simple. You got to sort of just talk about the core without actually telling people all the bells and whistles, and you just got to keep it in simple language. We've got a lot of people that they were there also. They were there for the first time, trying to learn about what blockchain is all about, and I think sometimes less is better. So that was sort of my suggestion to some of those presenters in talking about their projects there. There were some really cool projects there. I know obviously we're talking about BRIK BC projects there, Q&A, but sort of want to give people sort of a feedback in terms of what's happening at these conventions, especially from an Australian perspective. There were some cool projects. There's one that was I got talking with the founders, Ocean Floor Music. Shout out to Clint and Sam. They were the two co-founders. They're basically doing a Web3 for musicians platform that they can basically gig from anywhere in the world all together on their platform. They're about to launch that. So it was really interesting talking to Clint, because he's a musician himself, and sort of talking about some of our context, like the Brisbane band here in like Thieves, and also SOS as well, in terms of again, obviously it's becoming hard. It's harder in terms for bands to sort of play around the world, but when they can actually come in and be able to play on a Web3 streaming platform and together from anywhere in the world without having to be there physically, I think that's sort of the next really big opportunities for musicians, where you eliminate the physicality out of it. You go into a metaverse environment where you can basically play gigs anywhere in the world, and be able to put your music out there. So I did actually speak to Clint about SOS, which we played as an opening song today, and also Odin Johansson from the lead guitarist and songwriter for Like Thieves here in Brisbane. So hopefully they'll engage in conversation with Clint and sort of explore that avenue. And again, it's I'm not a musician, but I love my music. I enjoy music of all styles. And I just think they certainly are providing a new frontier for musicians there. Ocean Floor Music. I'll put a link on there on today's feed. And the other one actually that we sort of ticked the box was also, which is important, is the tax side of things. There's a few tax softwares that, from a crypto investment perspective, is concerned. There's a few out there, but we actually hadn't really locked one in, and from a personal perspective, I need it locked in. I'm sick of using spreadsheets to track cryptos in terms of the gains and losses on it. So we came across Coinly. I think they are global. So Coinly, they're here in Australia, so it'll just make things a bit easier to track. Because quite a few people have been asking me, so what are you using as a software to track all your profits and losses for tax reporting purposes? And so Coinly is what we've actually locked in. So basically, using that for our personal cryptos, and obviously then in terms of the portfolio for each property token series, given the crypto portfolio there, we'll use that as well to track. Not that we're obviously selling, we're accumulating, but sort of to track the cost basis of those. Will be important to have sort of an easy way to track all those things. So we keep Mr. Tax Man happy as far as reporting is concerned. So so that's what that was actually one of my tasks for the convention. I needed to talk to a couple at least tax reporting platforms that are obviously syncing into the crypto exchanges. So we ticked that box as far as that's concerned, both from a BRIK VC projects perspective as well as from a personal perspective. But yeah, so it's that was sort of reflection on the weekend, and again, look, it's please, if there's questions, please ask for the mic, and we'll give you the mic. It's Q&A time, formally, but yeah, look, it was an interesting convention. We had a good time as a family in terms of in the past week over at Hamilton Island. So some good recharging time, and straight into the convention. We landed Thursday night last week, and the conference started Saturday. So we pretty much came home and went straight into the convention on the Gold Coast. So, but yeah, so that's as far as reflections are concerned of the convention. I hope that's sort of gave a bit of an update of what's happening from an Australian perspective. Again, I've been to some of these things before where it's been very early. We were involved with the zero cloud computing back in 2008 as early adopters, and meeting the founders of it. And we went to their first convention too in 2008. It was just very deja vu in terms of, as an industry, obviously back then, cloud computing, especially the accounting side of things, software was very early. And today, sort of, after all these, what's been 14 years post that first Zero conference we went to in Melbourne. So to today, it's zeros all over the world as far as in terms of listed on a few exchanges globally. So it was just so deja vu where Melinda and I went to the first 2008 Zero accounting convention from a cloud accounting perspective to where things are at now in terms as a blockchain and seeing the weekend on the weekend. So and again, it was actually quite interesting. So not to digress, but it was actually quite interesting to see Tron actually on Sunday a couple of days ago. When we were sort of talking about on Twitter, some posts going backwards and forwards in terms of us talking next year. Tron actually put up a Asian Ravencoin convention back in 2019, and it was a post that you show. It was actually the pamphlet from that 2019 Ravencoin convention. And I had obviously Tron Black, had Doug in there from Mango Farms, and so it was actually just sort of really nice to see those early beginnings. I think it was a year and I think it was a year and a half. I think from memory that Tron was very exact in terms of from when the launch of the Ravencoin blockchain to that convention, Ravencoin convention was on. It was very precise to the day as to how long it was from the launch. So again, it was just sort of great to see those early beginnings and to where the Ravencoin is now and where we'll be in next few years as well. So again, it sort of reflect back on those iconic times, and I think from Australian perspective, last weekend was very iconic here for Australia as far as the blockchain is concerned. So. Okay, but probably just to go on the wrap up. Just trying to keep this to an hour. Again, if there's questions, please come and ask, and we'll open up the mic for you. Actually, there was one question that I got from the when I was at the convention. There was a young chap and sort of talking about in terms of tokenized real estate, and he was sort of asking, well, why did you go to Ravencoin blockchain? And I went on to explain to him in terms of our experience with Ethereum and the BRIK Koala token, and in terms of how much it was, what would have been a lot more had we sort of minted it then. And I sort of explained to him the huge gas fees just trying to mint the ERC 1404 token for the BRIK Koala, and then eventually we ended up minting for $800 as opposed to $28,000 at its high. So again, that was a massive wake up call. I told him that for us, we knew there was going to be an issue in going forward on the secondary market, and people, in terms of buying and selling between each other. We knew there was going to be a massive issue because obviously you're trading a token, and that token, the gas fees, we couldn't see an improvement. Even obviously all the changes, ETH merge, we don't see an improvement in that, as I said to him, and I think that'll continue to be an issue with gas fees. So basically, I said, look, then we started looking for an alternative chain, and we came across Ravencoin chain because obviously our advisors and DigiShares, they actually had put Ravencoin on their chains that they were minting for their clients on. So we obviously went down the rabbit hole of the Ravencoin, engaged with community and seeing what it was all about, and then here we are now in terms of making it. At the time, basically we've made a decision that's where we're going to mint all our future properties on the Ravencoin blockchain, and our objective is it's 11 properties the first year, and the second year be 20 properties and 20 properties thereafter. So all those properties, I told them that it's all going to be on the Ravencoin blockchain. And when I told him what the gas fees were, he thought I was lying to him, and I said, the gas is like 0.01 cent at best. It's just nothing really. So he was quite astonished in terms of obviously having tokenized assets on the Ravencoin blockchain, and only to be paying that sort of gas fees to be able to buy and sell. He was quite taken back, and this guy was he's been in crypto for a long time. So for him, it was he was a bit taken back by it. And again, this comes back to awareness in terms of making us aware in terms of what the Ravencoin blockchain is all about. And for us, it ticked all the boxes, and obviously being conscious of our token holders in future. It's for us, it was a no-brainer in terms of us switching across. So again, sort of explain to him, and hopefully he'll spread that message to his friends and contacts. And again, that's how education works. You just keep spreading the word, and hopefully he'll take that back to influential people that are able to then start looking at Ravencoin blockchain in terms of tokenizing assets on it. So just to start wrapping up, probably in terms of some of the things coming up, DigiShares have actually got their monthly webinar that's on later on today. From Australian perspective, it's just before midnight, goes through to 1 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. So today is Wednesday here in Australia. And so just check it out. I'll put the pin. I've actually liked and reposted, I think. But anyway, I'll put a link to this today's session. Tomorrow we've got our usual what is real estate tokenization. Tomorrow I've actually got a special co-host coming in. We've got Xander coming in, and I love to also have LSJ, you're in the audience. I'd love to have also come up also as a speaker, because tomorrow's theme is very much what I'm calling the aftermath of the post-ETH merger, but obviously bring it back in terms of what the impact on tokenized real estate, because obviously we always try to sort of keep it to that theme, to that sort of call. But in terms of just sort of giving us sort of a roundup, given obviously with last week with the in terms of the ETH merge, obviously with Ethereum, with the Ethereum blockchain going to proof of stake. What does that mean for proof of work, other proof of works blockchains, and specifically in terms of Ravencoin, and just seeing what the aftermath was, what people are seeing as part of that aftermath. So again, it'd be great to have. I know Xander is a miner, so from a miner's perspective, or what's happening from those sort of areas of post ETH merge, and LSJ, you are our go-to man when it comes to the Ravencoin blockchain in all fundamentals, upwards, downwards, sideways, in all ways. You know it all inside out. So I'll love to have you on tomorrow as well as a speaker to think of that. I don't think Jake can't make tomorrow. Jake's actually traveling, so Jake won't be as our usual co-host. Won't be able to make it. But yeah, look, it's looking forward to tomorrow. What is real estate tokenization? Same time, same place. Which is 3 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. So it's on a Wednesday US Eastern Standard Time at 3 p.m. And finally, we've also got Braveland. It comes around very quickly. We've got Braveland on the first Saturday of the month, US Eastern Standard Time. That's on at 4 p.m. in the afternoon on a Saturday. You just have to see what the time is in your respective time zones. But Braveland, which is the Ravencoin Metaverse campus, where we have Bravelands on the beach. So this Saturday, this first Saturday, which I think is actually it is the first. It ends up being the first actually. The 1st of October. Yeah, it is. So 1st of October. That's US Eastern Standard Time. The theme for this month is going to be obviously with ETH merge happening, and I think that in terms of obviously having a great activity in terms of all socials out there and people's inputs in terms of what's happening. We're going to have actually from a miner's perspective, so we're going to actually welcome all miners that are mining, that have been mining Ethereum, that are mining Ravencoin, that are mining other proof of work. Again, all miners in general. We're going to welcome all miners to come and attend, and having as basically anybody, obviously everybody's welcome, but we're still going to try to sort of invite miners that are mining to the event to if they've been mining Ethereum, in terms of seeing where they're going to be mining next, because obviously they'll be looking for a proof of work blockchain where to mine. Obviously Ravencoin is a proof of work blockchain, so getting them to come and sort of share their experiences in terms of what they've been mining on Ethereum, and obviously the challenges they've got in terms of now using their infrastructure to move to another blockchain, and then it's sort of obviously sharing some of the stories from some of the Ravencoin miners in terms of what the experiences they're having. And LSJ will be able to share some of the fundamentals around the Ravencoin as to why people should mine on the Ravencoin blockchain. So hopefully you can fill that bit in, LSJ. But yeah, so just basically, if you share around, we put the post up. Again, this is the Bravelands on the Beach event. Is very much a Ravencoin community-driven event. Ravencoin's got no marketing, no formal marketing. It's a very much a decentralized blockchain. So the marketing team is the community, and that's just one of the events that, as a community, Ravencoin community, that we have once a month on at Braveland Metaverse, where we basically get together and welcome all people to come along. It's free. There's no cost. You just have to download the software into your PC. Or your Mac computer, or whatever the case, whatever you got in terms of desktop or laptop. Download the software and create your avatar, and then basically join in the discussions and sharing your experiences. So so it's share it around, everybody. Look forward to listening to people's story as miners, and seeing where people where they're looking for, where they're planning to mine next. Those Ethereum miners, and hopefully we'll learn a few things along the way. I think that's all I've got. If there's no questions, I'll wrap it up, and I think that's about it from my. I've got no other points here. Well, thank you, Brave, thank you, Matt, thank you, LSJ, thank you, Indy, thank you for joining us live, and the people who were here earlier as well. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to it live. The people that weren't able to make it, it's been recorded. We do put it on all our other socials, on Spotify and YouTube as well. So it's there. So hopefully you can join us tomorrow for what is Real Estate Tokenization Twitter Space Show, and we'll learn more about in terms of what's happening in the aftermath of the post, the ETH merge aftermath. So take care, have a great day, great evening, great morning, depending what part of the world you're at. Stay safe, and more next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.